that's why it's really important to have a plan and understand what your goals are.
In fact, my camel out there is suffering right now with a broken back.
So I actually found Pepe when it was only a couple of hours old, and I'm like, oh, this is a funny meme.
Oh my god.
Yo! Who is this degen?
The old man is swing trading over years at a time. And it's like, that's where the real money is made.
The answer is a permanent loss. With single-sided staking, you don't have to worry about impermanent loss.
But really, at the end of the day, it's just the matter of a macro market. It's just what happens.
If you're aware, if you're disciplined, you can hone that into further financial growth.
Financial freedom, so we can actually live life and not have to be constantly living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, more or less, right?
Greetings, ladies, gentlemen, and gentlemen of all ages. Welcome back to another book club. Happy Friday to all you guys. Tonight, we're very excited to be talking about Atomic Habits. This is a very well-reviewed, well-received, and very popular book. And I got to say, I think it's for good reason. Will and I, at first glance, going through our notes together, we're like, this is some good stuff. And thankfully, this one's only 5.5 hours long on the audiobook version for the one-time speed. So I'm pretty sure we blasted through it in sub 3 hours each, which means I have plenty of time to talk about it, digest it, really think about it, and go back after it. But yeah, overall, it was a fantastic book. I'm very excited to talk about it tonight. Hello, I'm Zenith. I'm your host for the evening and Mr. Producer for the evening as well. I'm joined by my excellent co-host, as always, Mr. Will Stevenson. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, and I actually have to edit my name and headline to say Mr. Not Producer. So I am doing that
Co-pilot.
right now because, yeah, I am not producing this show. This is like one of the first shows in a very long time I have not produced. I don't know what to do with my hands, bro. I'm so lost right now. But yeah, like you were saying, this is a great fucking book. I really enjoyed it. I've consumed this book at least 4 times before, and the as I was making the thumbnail for this book, little spoiler alert, I really wanted to put a picture of a dude getting smacked in the face with a baseball bat, because that's like the opener of the book. He's like, oh yeah, when I was a kid, I got fucking crunched in the face by a baseball bat, and I basically had to relearn how to be an athlete, and that's what like set him all on this crazy little journey. But yeah, it's a great book. It's fantastic for anybody who is looking to change their life, looking to be someone other than who they already are. Whether you're like a sports ball player, or you're like a business professional, or you're someone who wants to be better at something but you're not that person right now, this book totally sets out a very clear and concise set of instructions on how you start going about the small little behaviors that turn yourself from being who you are now into who you want to become. It's very aligned with like a lot of the stuff that all of the self-help gurus today say, whether it's like, Andrew Tate or Michael Sartain or Rollo Tomasi or anyone in the manosphere or anyone in the self-betterment industry. They all say basically the same thing. And this guy just goes through and breaks it down so that a peanut brain like me can understand it. And I really appreciate that. So great fucking book. Highly recommend it. This is definitely one of the S tier books that belongs on our little ranking list. So I quite like it. And shout out to everybody who recommended this book. It's definitely, we've had multiple recommendations of Atomic Habits. I know for a fact that Dr. Alan Chen recommended it. Pretty sure Moonpilled Rational Optics recommended it. And I know there's a couple other people in the chats who have read it as well. I'm pretty sure Brendan was talking about it with me behind the show in the green screen and stuff. So yeah, great fucking book. Everybody should read it. Atomic Habits, super simple, super concise. But as far as how am I doing, I'm doing great. Life's good. I am winding down the work that I'm doing over here at my buddy's shop over in Dallas, and getting ready to go on my journey over to Portland, Oregon. So for everybody who is in between Texas and Oregon, then I'm coming by to see you guys. If you know who you are, then you know who you are. And if you don't know who you are, you should reach out and say, hey, Will, come by and see me. And I'll be like, fucking Dunsky, baby. So there you go. It's going to be a good time, and it's going to be great. Let's take us to the next part of the show, Z, before I just ramble on here too much.
Will do. Alrighty. It is time to say hello to all the good people that have joined us on this beautiful Friday evening. That's right. It's time for some chat shoutouts, baby. We have someone sneaking in here extra early. I don't know what time you posted the show link, but Funkmaster Hex was getting in here at basically noon my time, and it's 6 now, so 6 hours early. Well done, sir. Says, ladies and gentlemen, good evening with the cheers. Salute to you. I got a nice silver bullet tonight, as always. Will's got the garage beer, green screen edition.
Lime flavor. Yep.
Lime beer. Interesting.
Yep.
Is it like a
good
Mexican
one.
lager?
No, it's just a garage beer, but it's got lime flavor. That's all. It's really good. Nice and refreshing after a long, hard day of work out in the sun, doing landscaping work like the good Mexican that I am. So that's what I do over here. Is I'm the gardener man. He's given me the name who's the guy from The Simpsons? Is it Gardener Willie or Groundskeeper Willie?
Groundskeeper Willie. Yep.
Groundskeeper Willie. Yeah, he was Groundskeeper Willie. So that's what he was calling me all day today, because I've been chopping down plants and stuff all around the pond and making it nice. But good to see you, Mr. Funkmaster Hex. Welcome to the show.
He is also saying, for everyone out there, hit the damn like button on the way in. Come on, do it. After that, we have Slide 180 becoming quite the regular here. Love to see him. Josh, glad to see you here, brother. Cheers to you as well. Up next, Mr. Amber Simon. Hello. Glad to see you as always. Always happy to have you here with us. Oh, we got Pukaido. Please tell me how to pronounce this. I will figure it out one day. It says, what's happening, fellas? Ethereum and Pulse Chain for the win. That is right, good sir. I actually haven't checked charts today yet. Pulse Chain looking pretty good, actually. I think I checked it a few days ago. It's looking pretty solid. Looks like we are on the up and up, and we may have flipped a previous resistance zone into a support zone. We talk about that one on the Sunday show, by the way. But as far as Ethereum, where's my trading view? I want to say it's sitting around 3,700, which is pretty good. We caught the Sunday show last week. We did an update on the 60-day cycle, and we believe that 60-day cycle low is in, and we're in a new 60-day cycle here. So let's see. Bitcoin's 116,000. Ethereum hit $4,000. Let's go.
Yep. We broke 4,000 earlier today. It's a good day, man. It's a good fucking day.
4K ETH, that is a number we have not seen in a hot minute. I'm excited about that. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, Jason Northall, he's happy about the 4K ETH too. He says, let's go. Fan, a favorite of everyone out there, and of course of ours as well. Miss Tantam, she says, hello, my lovelies. Hello to you as well. Great to see you. Hope you're doing very, very well. Thank you for that. Maybe not just yet.
I've never tried to rip my shirt off. I think that you would need like a break right here in this stitching, but I'm half tempted. It's a good day today, though.
Yeah, you really got to crank it to get through it, or if you can just get like a small tear going, that'll help you get through the rest of it.
I kind of want to give it. Keep going.
All right, Frank White, Bang Bang DGen Book Gang. That's right, sir. Good to see you. Happy Friday to you. Oh, look at this. We got Dr. Alan Chan himself from the YouTube channel Your Health Unplugged. By the way, go check him out. Great stuff over there. He says Asian approved book, A++. There you go. That was in the first 10 minutes of the stream. We'll see if we get demonetized for that one.
We're going to get demonetized. Don't send in any super chats for this one, folks.
That's true. There we go. Dace is saying 4K ETH today, Z. That's right. Fantastic stuff. We're going to have a lot to talk about on Sunday and on Monday for Walk the Block, where you can catch this guy as well. Dace, if you like him, you'll love him. Catch him there. Alrighty, good sir. That covers it for our chat shoutouts. So, with all being said, let's get down to business. So, quick summary here, because, fun fact, the rest of the show, we're pretty much just going to be going top to bottom of the book, because it's actually in a very logical order, which I really appreciate. So, Atomic Habits by James Clear explains how small, consistent actions can compound into remarkable long-term results. James Clear argues that the lasting change comes not from massive overhauls, but from focusing on systems rather than goals, shaping identity through daily actions, and making incremental improvements over time. He prevents the 4 laws of behavior change. You got to make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. That is the framework for building good habits and breaking bad ones. Through stories, scientific research, and practical strategies, he shows how to redesign your environment using habit stacking and harness psychological cues to make positive behaviors inevitable and make negative ones harder to repeat. Second half of the book, or the closing, is he explores advanced tactics for sustaining motivation, aligning habits with your strengths, and avoiding complacency once routines are established. He stresses the importance of tracking progress, maintaining accountability, and ensuring that habits remain challenging enough to encourage growth. Ultimately, Atomic Habits is both a blueprint and a mindset shift, teaching readers to focus on small decisions that, when repeated consistently, transform identities and produce extraordinary results over time. There you go. That's the summary. Let's get into it. And I want to cover the first I think that this is kind of the thesis of the book here. One of the first things he talks about is studying the British cycling team and how they just wanted to improve random little things that happen in their everyday life 1% or just a little bit. This is anything from diet, like the bed you sleep on, travel time, the amount of rest you get, what kind of stuff you're doing in your free time. And it's just stacking all these small wins lead to outsized results, or a compounding effect, if you will. So one of the things he talks about in the book is specifically saying you're not going to one day decide to start making habits and your life is just going to go from 0 to 100 immediately. No. In fact, the whole point of the book, Habits, is that you got to do this one step at a time. And if you keep going one step at a time, you will get the compounding effects and go up. Unfortunately, he says that a lot of people kind of have a negative thing, which is that if you are not doing the 1% compounding, you're probably doing the opposite, which means it's compounding in the negative direction. So
Uh-oh. Oh no, we lost Zenith. I was going to say, it got real quiet there, but no need to worry. He's back, ladies and gentlemen. It goes in the opposite direction, though, the compounding you were saying, Zenith. Carry on.
Yeah, compounding. Unfortunately, if you're not really thinking about it, there's a good chance that your compounding effects are going in the negative direction, and that is where we get those bad habits specifically. So, Will, I want to ask you, what do you think? You think the man is correct that it's kind of impossible to have life-changing moments, or do you think that he's spot on, which is you build it like one small Lego block at a time?
Well, like there's definitely something to be said for crazy scenarios that pop up out of nowhere that like freak black swan events, but there's also um there's two types of the black swan events. One is like this was brought on by all of the accumulated bad habit actions that I've been doing up until this point. Like let's say you just don't take care of yourself, you eat like shit, you do whatever the hell, and then all of a sudden, bam, you're an adult. Now you got adult onset type 1 diabetes or something like that. And now you have this whole new life thing that's flopped in front of you. Like there are big giant changes that happen as a result of all your decisions. Like, you're a little bit of a snob, you're a little bit rude, you're not very friendly to people, you don't get your work turned in on time, then bam, you're fired. Something along those lines. Like I think that there's obviously like the nuanced perspective of like, oh yeah, it's not all just little tiny habits. Sometimes big things happen, but for the most part, like you are what you consistently do. And if you consistently do bad things, then you are a bad person. And if you consistently do good things a lot of the time, or you consistently do things that people like all the time, then you are a person that people like, or you are the sum of your actions. So I think that answers your question, right?
That it does. I
What
think
about
that
you?
the
What are your
author-
thoughts?
I think the author would definitely agree with the idea that whenever you have trauma, capital T trauma, not just my Starbucks order got slightly wrong today, but big critical moments in your life that are actually kind of world shaking, that kind of stuff is possible. But one of the things that I think he really focuses on, which I think is a very cool thing, is that he specifically says, yes, building the habits 1% at a time, you'll slowly increase, but you'll feel like you have breakthroughs once that bar gets filled up enough where it hits a threshold where you actually can see a change in something. So you either got to track it so you know that it's changing, or if you hit these critical moments, that's where it can kind of feel like it's those big world-changing moments where you kind of wake up one day and you're like, I'm king of the world. Look at this. We did the thing. But I think that yes, it is very possible to have the capital T trauma things like death of family members, critical events, getting fired from the job. Those can definitely be like wake up moments. But overall, though, I think that kind of translates more into kind of the subconscious realm, where what he really tries to focus on in the book is the conscious realm. And one of the quotes I even had from the book on here, let me find it. Da-da-da-da. I thought I wrote this down. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will continue to direct your life without knowing it. So that is one of the key things he talks about here is you got to figure out how to make your unconscious thoughts, the things that you do subconsciously, you got to think about it. So that way you're actually thinking about it. So you're able to change it. And I like that part a lot. It makes sense to me because what he does is it's kind of doing, I don't know if you're probably a fan of the term, but it's the pattern interrupt. It is doing the thing to shake you enough to get you to do something else, or at least recognize what's going on. I think he had a story in the book where he talks about this one lady's on a Japanese train and her son like misses the train and she's like reaching for him and her arm gets stuck in the door and it's like literally about to take off. But one of the things that the Japanese railway conductors are trained to do, and they practice, is they do actual out loud checks and shouts. Like they literally stick their head out the side of the train, say, look to make sure. Exactly.
Describe.
Yeah. Point, describe, shout, so that people recognize what's going on. So that way the lady, they recognize, oh no, there's a child that's left behind and there's a lady whose arm is out of the train. We can correct this really quick, get back on schedule, get going again. That kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So one of the examples that he gave was for applying this to your own personal life is that if you're trying to eat healthier and those cravings and they come and you're like, man, I just really want that cookie. He's like, well, one of the ways you can break that is you can go every time you pull something out of the cabinet, say what you're pulling out and say what it is and what it's going to do to you. So you look at the cookie, you're like, have a cookie. This is very high fat and sugar. This is not going to keep me on my diet plan. All right. If that's the case, well, I'm now thinking about it. So cookie goes back in the cabinet. What do you think? Yeah. Is this make sense, or is this kind of get you thrown in the loony bin if you start talking to yourself in public a little too much?
Well, no, it's a good habit. I see this beer that I'm about to drink that's in front of me, and I know that if I drink this beer, then I will get just a little bit more fat. And so if I drink enough of these beers, then I'm going to become a fat piece of shit. So as long as I don't drink too many of these beers, then I know that I'm in the correct world. As long as I work out, blah de da de da. It's important to say things that are real and understand things that are real. You don't have to say it out loud, but if you do say it out loud, it makes your brain process the information a whole lot more than it would have otherwise. Like, that's the point that he tries to drive home. It's like, oh, I don't need to eat this cookie, but if I do eat this cookie, I know that I'm going to be fat, and I know that I'm going to be one step further away from my goal rather than one step closer towards it. So by saying it out loud, it makes it more real. It makes it more like I have done the work to acknowledge that this thing has a positive and or negative effect on me. So it's a little trick that you can put in your handbook. Will people sound crazy doing it? Sure, probably. But did it save this lady's arm from getting ripped off? Absolutely, because the guys that are in charge of moving the train, what they do every single time they move the train is like, oh, the light is green. That means we are clear to go. I am now hitting the throttle and pushing it forward, and the train is going to move forward. And the guy that's by the door is like, I have checked the front door, it's clear. I have checked the middle door, it's clear. I've checked the back door, it's clear. These types of little what would you call them? Redundant safeties. These are very similar to what you and I both probably experienced when we were in the military, right? It's like I went to assault climbers school when I was in the Marine Corps, and what you have to do with every single rope system that you set up, whether you're scaling a cliff, whether you're lowering a casualty down from some high point somewhere, is you have to have redundant safeties on every single thing that you're doing. If I'm lead climbing up a raw rock wall face, I'm not just putting in one single piece of protection every 6 feet. I'm putting in two pieces of protection in the event that one of them fails, or in the event that something that I didn't anticipate happens. So instead of and you got to think, when you fall 6 feet to your last piece of protection, you're not falling 6 feet, you're falling 12 feet, because it's 6 feet to the last piece of protection and then 6 feet below it, presuming that it holds in place. So if you're placing protection every 3 feet rather than every 6 feet, then instead of having a 12-foot fall, you're now having a 6-foot fall, and you're going to be all right. So all of these redundant measures, all of these things are very important in a world where people could die, like on these bullet trains in the example that he gave in the book with the lady, and she got her arm stuck in the door, but they called it out and they saw it. In any sort of world where there's a very serious set of things going on, you're going to find redundant measures a lot, and redundancy fixes a lot of mitigatable problems. A lot of like things that, oh, just somebody was lazy, somebody didn't double check things, somebody like just kind of like got complacent, glossed over things. Redundancy solves a lot of the human errors. It solves a lot of the what's the word? What's the word for it? Like attention problems. So I think that it's important for people that are doing important things. Is it necessary for everything in life? No. Like when you're at the grocery store, picking out like fruits and vegetables to eat for the day, like you don't have to be going through redundant processes. But if you're doing something where people could die, if you're doing something where you could change lives, if you're doing something where it's going to cause a massive amount of catastrophe if something goes wrong, then these sorts of implementations could be life-saving, and they could save a whole lot of heartache. It could save a whole lot of money. It could keep a whole lot of value where it's supposed to be, rather than thrown right down the drain. That's my 2 cents on the whole world. What do you think, Zed? Do you think that people should go around? I'll turn your question back on you, the one that you asked me, because I don't remember the exact wording of it.
Yeah. So the idea of actually doing the point and talk method when it comes to doing anything that involves high level of safety or risk, yeah, it makes sense. It's natural to do. So to translate that into the habit building world, I think it also makes sense. It's not for the same thing of like trying to make sure no one's dying. It's from actually trying to go from that subconscious to conscious. It's instead of just doing things when you feel hungry, it's rationing it out. It's talking out loud, literally, because you're talking to yourself, trying to get yourself to hear the words you're saying so that you can think about what you're trying to do. The reason I think that this makes sense is that A, it's good to actually start elevating that thought process, but B, it also allows you to start recognizing the things. And when you recognize it, you can remember it. And remembering is part of what this is all whole part of, which is trying to build systems. Because that's one of the things he talks about here. He's not trying to tell you to focus on a goal. He's trying to tell you to build a system, and you have to trust the system. And once you've built the system properly and you can verify that it's working, stick to the system. That's going to keep you going up the steps from there. So that's one of the other main point here is that everything we're talking about in this book, again, it's not trying to have those life-changing moments, those aha flashes of brilliance or anything. It's just build a system that is repeatable and easy, and you want to do it. That is the whole point. He says that there's 4 simple steps for building this loop. You have a cue, which leads to a craving. Craving leads to a response, and the response gives you a reward. So if you are sitting down watching TV and you get a Coors Light commercial come on, that's the cue. The cue gives the craving. The craving is like, oh man, I could go for a silver bullet right about now. And then the response there is you get up and you go get one, and then you crack it open, take that sip. The Rockies are blue on the can, so you know it's cold, and you get that reward. And that's the loop that he's trying to replicate with everything that we're talking about here. And this is where we get kind of his tagline, which is you got to make it obvious, easy, attractive, easy, and satisfying. Because making it obvious is so that you can understand what you're doing, not just from like you understanding it, but when you build your system, it's obvious exactly what you're doing, when and why. Making it attractive so you'll want to do it. Making it easy so that you don't stop halfway through, and then make it satisfying so that you do get that reward at the end. You got to have something. This is something he talks about. I think it's kind of a foreign concept, which is the whole point is to stack very small wins.
Mm-hmm.
But the other point is to make it satisfying. So if you have small wins, how do you make these small wins satisfying?
Yeah, and one of the things that he delineates in the book is the first 3 steps: make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy. That's what gets you to start doing it right now, and then making it satisfying is what makes you do it again in the future. So it's the immediate gratification and it's the delayed gratification. It takes the best of both worlds and it solves it all in one thing. Like honestly, bro, if people don't get anything else out of this book, me personally, I think that those four little pieces of advice is like the tip top like actionable steps in this book. If you want to change something in your life, if you want to stop doing bad thing or you want to start doing good thing, then you need to make it obvious, you need to make it attractive, you need to make it easy, and then you need to make it satisfying. And similar to what we talked about last week on book club, where we were discussing the engineering, the way that you can control for problems and things by engineering, by administrating, or by protecting, right? Like these all describe the way that you engineer the environment that you live in order to make it easier to do the thing that you want to do. If you want to be strong, right, it behooves you to be right next to the gym and to have your keys ready to like hop in your car and drive during a time of no traffic really close to your gym where it's like nice and pleasant to want to work in, right? It's obvious, the keys are sitting right fucking there. It's easy. I don't have to deal with anything to get to the gym. It's attractive. It's like when I get there, it's like I want to be here. Things are great. And then if it's satisfying at the very end of the process, like I'll do this all fucking over again. So like if you can take any sort of habit that you want to change in your life and you apply these four little, make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, make it satisfying. If you can take those four things and apply them to anything that you want to improve yourself on in life, then you're a world ahead of all of your peers, and you'll find yourself being much more satisfied whenever you build your good habits or destroy your old habits, or destroy your bad habits.
It makes
My thought.
sense. I agree with that. So let's go ahead and jump into the first one there. So making it obvious. I I think it's good that he focused on this one a lot. I think this might be a little bit of a foreign concept to you and I, which is we're always trying to control our environment and stuff. But he specifically says that your environment often matters a lot more than any internal motivation that you have. This is where he's specifically saying that like your environment is the thing that is actually giving you those cues in that mental loop to get you to do things. So if you can control the environment, you can control the cues.
Yes.
I think we've covered stoicism through thinking like a Roman emperor previously. In stoicism, it's a very big idea that the only thing you can control is really yourself and your mind. So it almost might sound counterintuitive to have like that sort of philosophy with this one, which is like you have to control the environment as opposed to I am in charge of controlling myself.
I think that
How do you square
I'll
that circle?
disagree, but finish your thought.
I mean, that is the thought. Do you think that these ideas are in opposition, or do you think it makes sense?
I think they're in conjunction with each other based on how you want to interpret it. So if by controlling your environment, you are controlling yourself, because you need to understand that your environment is going to play a position on your mental state. I know for a fact that if I sit in a red room at nighttime, then I'm not going to fuck up my night vision, right? But if I go into a room full of light and then I walk outside in the dark, then I know that I'm not going to be able to see any fucking thing for at least like 30 or 40 seconds. So by controlling my environment, I am also controlling my mind, and I'm making it easier to control my mind by maximizing the efficiency of my environment. So like I'm being the most stoic person possible when I remove all of the things that like make my night vision hard to see, or that ruin my night vision at night. When I create a world for myself that makes my night vision better, and I chose vision because vision is tied heavily to the brain. Um, but the wow, the Zoom thing didn't work right there. Come on, there we go, much better. Um, the stoicism, I think, ties in well with it. The only thing that you can control is your mind. Sure, there's going to be times when you don't want to rely on that. There's going to be times where you're not going to have the energy. There's going to be times where you don't have the motivation. And in that point, like you fall to the lowest level of preparation. So if you can prepare your environment to make it easy for yourself to not have to rely on your mind, then you're in the best position possible. And you've preloaded the work of being stoic, and you've removed the necessity for you to have to do work to be stoic. If I don't want to be depressed, then I turn off my subscription to CNN and Fox News, because I know that the things they're going to talk about are going to make me angry and make me upset, and I won't be able to do anything about them. So I know that I'm going to have a negative influence on my mind, and so if I removed that that input entirely from my mind's processing unit, then I have front loaded the work of the stoicism in my decision making process to simply, like, oh, just get rid of the temptation. If I know that I want to lose weight, then when I'm at the store, I don't buy cookies, I don't buy sugar, I don't buy flour, I don't buy grain, I don't buy rice, I don't buy noodles, whatever the hell, right? That's part of the stoic principles, is like, you remove the temptations for everything that will deviate you from the path. And in so doing, like, you can make these it's not tough decision at the time. When you're in the store, you can't eat the fucking raw noodles. You're just like, it's raw noodles. But if I take them home, and if I buy them now and I take them home, then I can be tempted by it later, and then I'll have to really do the work to avoid the stuff. So I think that it's a combination of efficiency and laziness, and also, like, pre-planning. So I think that it all goes, hand in hand. The only thing that you can control is your mind, and you're absolutely right. And the way that you control it is up to you. You can control it by front loading the decision making, or you can control it by, like, resisting it actively when it's right there in front of you. The more of the stuff that you can take away from your need to resist it right now, the more work, the more things that you can focus on that don't require, like the heavy lifting. If I use the forklift to pick up the heavy things, then I save my strength for the heavy things that I can pick up when the forklift can't get in there to grab them and lift them. So that's my whole philosophy on all that stuff. Does that make sense to you? Do you
Yeah,
have
I
any
like that.
thoughts?
I think the front loading of the decision making in the way that you control environment makes a lot of sense. I think that controlling the environment is a big one for sure, because it really allows you to figure out what your cues or triggers are for certain things that you do that you maybe want to not do, or you can figure out ways to start cueing triggers for things that you do want to do. So from the negative habit standpoint here, when it comes to controlling the environment, I think there are a lot of things you can control, and I think you hit on a lot of them. Whether it's for the food example, it's like, if you know where all the junk food is in the supermarket, maybe try a different store. So you'd have to actually go look and seek it out to find it. Or at your house, it's put what you want to consume or what you should consume up front, and then like hide the beer in the back so it's harder to get to. It's less on your mind. You don't see it every time, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
When it comes to maybe an environment that you cannot have complete control over,
Man, I don't know if you guys can hear Zenith, but I cannot hear Zenith. I was hoping that this would be okay, but I've pulled up YouTube and he is frozen on YouTube as well. So that's not good. He is looking majestically off into the distance. For those of you guys on YouTube oh no, we've lost him. All right. Okay. Well, shit. I gotta go back to figure out what he was saying. Oh man. Oh shit. There we go. Let's see. What was Zenith saying? Bam. All right. Well, I guess I'm here for now, chilling with you guys. I wish I could carry on with what he was saying. I wanna throw in a quick little thing while he was talking about the supermarket and stuff. There's actually a fun fact, or a fun hack that you guys can do in supermarkets. If you want to avoid the bullshit in the stores, then don't go into any of the middle aisles. Aha, he has our fantastic man has returned. I don't know when you cut out, Z, but I thought it was on my end, so I just stayed quiet, and it turns out the audience is just sitting looking pretty. You've got it's a beautiful picture of you looking off majestically into the distance when you froze. and just me looking around being like, oh, I wonder if he's talking right now. Anyways, for the folks at
No,
home, to finish
apologies.
my thought, when you go to a store, if you want to avoid the bullshit, then all you got to do is just shop around the edges of the store. That's where the produce, that's where the meat, that's where the vegetables, that's where all the good stuff is. If you want to avoid bullshit in the store, then just don't go to any of the aisles. Walk around the edges, and that's all you need to do. That's the fun fact life hack. If you want to stay healthy, don't go to anything in the middle. Just shop around the edges. Get you some lettuce, get you some ground beef, get you some fucking milk and eggs and cheese and whatever the hell, and maybe you really quickly walk into the center to get some rice or to get a tortilla or two. But yeah, that's how you avoid all the bullshit in the stores. I don't know where you cut out, Zenith. Do
All good.
you
I'll just
know?
pick it up. So
Okay.
when it comes to controlling environments, I was getting ready to talk about there's the two environments. There's the one that you do have control over, and there are some that you maybe don't have as much control over, such as like a workplace or something.
Yeah.
I think that even inside of the places where you cannot control everything, you cannot control Bob in the next cubicle or desk over who's incessantly
Yep.
clicking his pen as much as you want to smack him. Can't do that. That's how you get fired by HR. But I think that this is where you can try to do the engineering control stuff. You can either try to find ways to defeat the behavior. You can try to find the administrative stuff and actually like go talk to Bob and be like, hey, dude, like, please stop. Cannot focus with the clicking. Or you can put the PPE on and go get the earplugs or the headphones and slap them in and do that kind of stuff. Ultimately, you're not going to be able to get rid of everything. So in those cases, I think that's where you kind of got to flex that self-control muscle a little bit. That's where you actually
Mhm.
spend the energy. That is where you save the strength for. So in that case, it makes sense. But as far as the idea of like the environment and your own self-control, it's interesting that he talks about this in the book, which is like self-control is actually like pretty limited. We are creatures of habit. Long ago, you had to see the saber-toothed tiger and recognize it was that, so you would run away instinctively instead of try to like figure out if it's friendly or not. So that makes sense. But it's controlling the environment will remove or reduce those exposure triggers, but that's pretty much it for that one. I think as far as the other half of the obvious conversation though, is that this is where we start talking about the tracking, which is also going from the subconscious to conscious, where he talks about having a habit scorecard, having a plan or a game plan where you like written down some kind of reminder on your phone, whatever it is. And this is where we get to the other half of obvious, which is the tracking. When you are tracking, everything about the tracking needs to be obvious, because he gives the example of like, okay, I'm writing down I will do 10 push-ups when I go to lunch. It's like, okay, what does that mean? When specifically? Are you doing this before you go to lunch? Is it after you get back to lunch? Where are you doing it? That kind of stuff. So he even gives an example on that one, which is like more specific, which is when I close my laptop to go to lunch, I will do 10 push-ups by my desk right there. Clear, obvious, concise, bam, bam, boom, done. So when it comes to the planning stuff, what are ways that you think you can make things obvious for the planning and the tracking?
For the is is there a specific thing, or is this just like a general question?
In general, like if you were going to use the method, like you have a habit you want to build or a habit you don't want to do, how are
Yeah.
you going to make it obvious to yourself so that you don't forget and that you're trying to make sure you stick on it?
Well, so you have to bring it to the forefront of your attention. And in order to bring it to the forefront of your attention, you have to do whatever it is it works for you in that particular scenario. For me, I forget almost everything, so I have to write things down in a journal. I have to put alarms. I have to those are my two big things is journal and alarms. I write down a little journal and telegram of like things that happen throughout the day. And then I also set alarms all the time, and I use my calendar to remind me like, oh hey, today you're supposed to stream with Zenith about book club. Hooray. So I have an alarm clock that goes off every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday that's like, hey, you're streaming for DGen Roundtable right now. What are you doing? You better hop on stream. And it's like, oh fuck, I better go hop on stream. And then sometimes that involves, oh fuck, I better make a thumbnail, and like, oh fuck, I better set up StreamYard and do all the production stuff. So those are my particular examples, those are some of my little control mechanisms that I use. to remind myself. I would say that. Oh, excuse me. I would say that alarms is a big one. Because your alarm is just you're preloading your thought processes into a device that will actively seek you out and be like, hey, it's time to do this thing. So if whenever you have the idea of like, oh, I should do this thing at this time, you put that in your alarm, and it's like, aha, it's time to do my bi-monthly call with Zenith. It's like, oh, it must be Saturday at 4 p.m. or whatever the hell time. So that's my own personal methodology. What do you have something that you do for solving the same problem?
Yeah, so at work, famously, I like to make the to-do list. I have a habit carried over from the junior officer days of carrying around the green book. And then pretty much anytime I'm in a conversation or at a meeting, I'm just writing stuff down. But
Oh my
specifically,
god.
one of the things I figured out that I can do both for planning and tracking is that if I actually have a task that I want to do, that I need to do, instead of doing like bullet points and my follow-on stuff, I draw like the radio checkbox thing. I'm like, okay, the empty square means this is a task, and then usually right below it, it's like, all right, here exactly what I need for it. And then when it's done, just check it off. Feels good. There you go. That brings back the memories right there.
Where's all my
Okay.
military members out there? You guys remember all these things?
Ah, the
Look at this.
logbook.
Look at these beauties. Oh my god.
Yeah. So the whole point for me doing that is it made it a lot more obvious and clear because I'm always looking at this thing. And since I'm always looking at it, a lot of stuff just kind of glosses over me, especially if it's just like not important information at the time. But whenever I see those boxes, especially an unchecked box, I'm like, oh yeah, unga bunga. We got to check the box. Let's go. That kind of stuff. It works for me. That's the kind of stuff that I figured out. The only thing I'm probably going to have to improve on for my methodology after reading the book here is probably put more specific time, because I'm good with the alarms. I'm good with meeting alarms. I'm good with the phone alarm for 5:45 on, oh gosh, Friday, Sunday, Monday. And then I also have a Saturday one as well. So it's like, hey, hop on stream, dummy. It's like, all right, let's do this.
Yep.
So implementing being more specific with time is probably going to be better, because otherwise I kind of find myself where I end up with like these like hour, 2 hour chunks between when I have meetings for my workday where I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it then. It's like, all right, how about what if we start assigning the checkboxes to specific time blocks? I think that makes more sense. I like that. I
went down a rabbit hole of the green logbooks, and you can buy a 5-pack of them for a 5.5 by 8-inch logbooks, like the pocket. Well, I guess 5.5 by 8 is almost pocket. That's like a cargo pocket logbook, but you can buy a 5-pack of those for $30 on Amazon. Oh man, there goes my algorithm. Sorry, I didn't mean to distract. Reel us back here, Steve.
So, final point or final idea from the book that I think is actually pretty brilliant when it comes to making things obvious is this is where he introduces the idea of behavior stacking or habit stacking, which is he says that it seems kind of obvious because a lot of this stuff is probably, you could probably think about this stuff and get to 80% of what he talks about in the book if you just like sat down and was logical about it. But he really does a good job of filling in that last 20%. So when it comes to habit stacking, what he's talking about is like you already have habits built into you. They're all over the place. That is how you go about your life. We are creatures of habit. So if you want to do something or you want to stop something, anytime you identify one of your previous habits, combine it with a new one. This is going to give you that compounding effect where you're already going to have a trigger that's built into yourself. So it's easy to build onto this new trigger that you're trying to get. And it also allows you to recognize these things so that you can actually get back to thinking about it more. And eventually, if you're successful in the habit, you're successful in the new habit, it becomes subconscious just like the old one. Do you think we're breaking any revolutionary ground here? Or is this just kind of stating the obvious, but hearing it, you're like, yes, this makes sense.
I hate how much of the stuff that we read is all like obvious information. And it's like, God damn it, bro. But it might be obvious to me. I'm 32 years old. There might be some people out there who have never heard this stuff before. So in that sense, young people definitely read this book, but like the obvious advice is still good advice. That's my 2 cents. And if everybody did obvious stuff, then there would be no such thing as common people. There would just be a whole bunch of really cool, awesome people. Or the middle of the bell curve of the Overton window, it would shift like closer towards excellence than it is towards mediocrity. So, like I man, it does blow my mind though how often everything that we read is like, oh wow, yeah, duh, I should have known that. That's like that's a fucking keeper right there.
Sometimes you just need the exposure. Like you've
Yeah.
seen the things before, you just need the reminder.
Preventative maintenance education, PME. There you go.
There you go, baby. Exactly. Alrighty, let's get into an interesting one. So the second of our 4, making it attractive. I found this one. He had a really good quote. This one where he talks about the things that the things that people do specifically when it comes to correlation, or I guess being social. He talks about we are very social creatures, and we try. It's the environment. Your friends are also your environment. What you watch is also your environment. The area you live is also your environment. And he says that. Where did it go? Is that the we do things to copy people that are close to us. We try to copy the masses, and we try to copy the elite. Because you're social creatures, and you want to be accepted by people. You copy the people that are around you or the people that are close to you, because you want to do the things. You might not like the thing that you're doing, but you like being around the other people, so you start to do the thing anyways. The next one is the many or the masses, which is there's kind of like the cultural zeitgeist or like cultural norms of whatever it is. It's like we are Americans, so we do X and that kind of stuff. And then the last one is subconsciously people try to copy whoever they identify are like the elites in the society of our. And the idea behind that is whether it's good, like good copying or bad copying, the idea is that this is aspirational. Your mind automatically has that link, which is like it's aspirational, so it's attractive to you, so you want to do the thing. So this can be in the form of buying Gucci tracksuits because they cost a lot of money and the people with lots of money buy these. So why shouldn't I do that? I personally think that's a bad one because I think they're stupid and ugly and a waste of money. But there are other ones, which is like, okay, what do the successful people do? I want to go read Market Wizards. I want to be a stock trader. I want to go learn from the other stock traders. What do? I want to be like them. And then the masses, it's like, I want to be culturally relevant and kind of fit in and not feel like a fish out of water. So I want to do that. And then again, the people close to you, you want that social connection. So that is what is attractive about building those habits. You think that this covers pretty much everything, or is there anything that might be missing?
Well, no, I think that covers everything, and I want to kind of expand on your reasoning. People
Hit
want
it.
to be similar to the people they want to be around, So like if I want to hang around a bunch of hippies, it behooves me to have dreadlocks. It behooves me to wear bell-bottom pants and the tie-dye shirts. And so if I dress that way, then I will be around those types of people. If I mimic their behavior, if I do the things that they consider attractive, then they will find me attractive, and I'm more likely to fit into those sorts of groups of people. Is that the direction that you were going with this?
Don't have to have a
Like
specific
with
direction
the
on this
Gucci
one.
and the tracksuits. Oh, okay, with the tracksuits and with the fancy stuff, it's like if I'm trying to dress the way of people that I don't find attractive in order to get into their thing, then it's like I kind of have to change my mindset to start thinking that their stuff is attractive, or at least to use it as a means to an end. Um, if I want to, go to a Met Gala event, then it behooves me to not wear a cutoff bad idea t-shirts and fucking basketball shorts and work boots. It behooves me to find a nice tailored suit and some double wingtip shoes, or I don't know how to talk fancy stuff like that, but find nicer clothes based on like what the target audience is that I want to make an impression on. Um, the point of being attractive and the point of your habits being attractive is to get you to do them. And if every time you look at the thing that helps you accomplish the habit that you want to do and you have like a feeling of disgust or a feeling of like, ugh, I don't want to do that. Like if the example he gave in the book was toothpaste. Every time you brush your teeth you go, ah, this shit tastes like fucking horse manure, you know then it's like you won't brush your teeth. But if the toothpaste tastes like mint, which gives you a nice refreshing clean, feeling in your mouth, even though mint doesn't do anything to clean your mouth, it makes you feel clean. The more that you are attracted to the idea of the thing that you're doing, the more likely it is that you're going to do it. So in that respect, doing the things that are or making the thing that you want to do into an attractive thing will help you change your habits for the better or eliminate the bad habits, and remove the stuff for the worse. Does that kind of
Yeah,
answer
that makes
your
sense. It's one
okay?
of the ideas that he talks about in the book, specifically around making things attractive. It's like the reason that we're building the habits is not because we want to do the habit building activity. You want the result. Like, you don't
Mhm.
brush your teeth because you enjoy brushing your teeth. You do it because you want like a healthy mouth and you want like shiny white
Yeah.
teeth. That's why you're
Yeah, yeah.
doing it. It's kind of getting that mental separation to go from one to the other, and then also finding the ways to make it attractive to get in there. I think that
Yep.
when he's talking about the role of your family and friends and where you live and in the attractiveness section, I think that this one, it goes here, but it actually also goes back in the controlling your environment thing, which is like, obviously you don't have control over who your family is. You do have control over who your friends are. You always have control over who you spend time around and that kind of stuff. When it comes to the attractive part, it's looking at why do I want to be around these people? What do I get out of it? And more importantly, what are they also imparting on me that I'm not exactly thinking about? So it's, I don't want to be the guy that's like, cut out all your people that you think are negative in your life and only get on that grind and like go try to stalk Fortune 500 CEOs and be friends with them. It's like, no, balance, always balance. But it's interesting. And again, it's obvious. We've talked about this plenty, which is like the people that you're around, chances are you're probably going to become like them. Because if you want to be around them, you're going to do the things that they do. The things that they do become the things that you do. The things that you do become who you are.
We are the summation of our actions.
There you go. There you go. Gosh, what was it? Homath had a good video recently. He was like the male version of when women say, "What do I bring to the table? I am the table." The male version of that is saying, "I want someone to like me for the real me." And he's like, "What does that mean? What even is the real you?" Hint: it doesn't
What? Yeah.
exist. You might know things about yourself. There are things you can say that you do. There are things that you want to do, and things that you haven't become yet. That is all of you. It's like,
I want a girl to like me for the real me. What a bunch of bullshit. That's hilarious.
yeah, yes. Shout out to the great philosopher Homath. What a guy.
Dude, Homath is fantastic. For those of you guys who have never heard of Homath, you should go watch his videos because he's very good at explaining things. And he's like spot on with philosophy. And also, it's amusing and entertaining.
That's
And his
true.
graphics are great.
Yeah, he's a good artist. What can you say? Alrighty, so covered the and making it attractive, whether it is trying to be socially accepted. But the other part here is that you can make things attractive for yourself by physically rewarding yourself or bribing yourself. I think that, again, this is an idea that many people are probably familiar with, which is the idea of like trying to build a habit of, I want to do a thing or I want to specifically not do a thing. So if I want to stop buying junk food, anytime, in order to get that dopamine cycle going for the reward or the reason that you want to do things, is like, cool. Every time you avoid buying junk food, think about the money you would have used to buy the junk food and literally like deposit it in another separate account of yours that you will use specifically for things that you want to use and save up for later. It sounds, I imagine that to the average, to the proles, to the proletariat, this sounds very dorky and dumb, which is like, why are you bribing yourself with your own money that you were going to spend anyways?
It works. It works. You know, and like Matty Allen a long time ago created a protocol called the time pays me thing, which is very similar to this, which is where you use your past self to pay your future self to do a fucking thing. You know, this is one of the things that Matty doesn't talk about very often, but I think that his time pays me protocol like can be used quite well for that. Now I don't know a whole lot about the protocol. You guys are gonna have to do your own due diligence on it. I don't know if it works, but like the way that he has described it is like you basically enter in a smart contract and you give two other people keys and you put money into it. And then when you do the thing that you say you do, you tell your friends like, "Hey, I did the thing. Could you give me the magical key?" And then the friend gives you the magical key. Then you get access to your money again. Now, Like, is it perfect? No. But is it a cool idea? Abso-fucking-lutely. Because it's the same thing that Zenith is describing here. It's like, hey, you can take your money and you can put it into an account that essentially pays you for doing the thing that you want to do. If you avoid the Starbucks sugary beverage and instead you drink the bottle of water that you already have, then hey, congratulations, you've now saved $10. So you know what you can do? You can take that saved $10 and you can move it out of your checking account as if you spent it anyways into your savings account, which you then do whatever the hell. Maybe you start a hex stake with it or something like that, right? Like you can do these magical things, and you would be surprised at the effect that it has on your psyche. Everyone's like, oh man, like I don't want to do that crap. That's like hoity-toity and fucking retarded. And it's like, it's worth exactly what you decide it to be. If you decided that it's retarded, then hominis dominus, so it is. And if you decide that it's pretty neat, then cool beans, it's pretty fucking neat. It's all inside your fucking head. So whatever people decide to judge it to be, it's like, congratulations, you make it so by choosing it to be that way.
Yeah, I think this kind of falls into the category of like things in the book that might seem obvious, but at first glance, you're like, you feel weird about it and you feel dorky or awkward where you're pointing and talking out loud or you're moving money into your own account, even though it's just another one of your accounts. But I think what this does is it's kind of trying to get people to dig a little bit deeper and understand, like, at the surface level, you might feel a certain way, but like really think about it. What is the goal here? Specifically with this one, the goal is we're trying to build dopamine loops. We're trying to build dopamine releases so that you can reinforce behavior. We're not doing this because we think the act itself is cool, just like the habits. We do the habits because we want the reward at the end. Even though, like, you might know to yourself, like, cool, every time I don't buy a bag of chips at the store, I go to the store like what, once a week, maybe every other week. So realistically, over the course of a month, it's going to be like 15, 20 bucks, maybe. Over the course of the year, that's like $240, $280, somewhere in there. It's like, is this life-changing money? No, it's not the point. The point is that you understand what you're trying to do to your brain because you understand the way your brain works. So you want to try to implement it because you want the result. You don't really care about the cash at the end. It's an incentive, which is nice, but ultimately you're building the habit because you want the good result. So the big example of this one I think he used in the book was they got a bunch of lab rats or mice and they trained them to do something totally mundane. We're like, we want to see if we can train them to just do a thing. Let's cut a hole in this box and see if we can train rats to stick their nose or their whole face in the hole. And what they did is they found a way to give them a reward or some sort of stimulation where every time they stuck their head into the hole, they got hit with that dopamine release. And they said it was so effective that they ended up having the rats try to stick their face in the hole 800 times a minute. And they're like, oh, okay, this might have been a little too powerful.
Mm-hmm. They compared it to how often human beings will hit the button on the jackpot
on the slot machine,
things,
yeah,
which is like 600 times a minute. So that was kind of like, ooh, oh man, we're not all that great and fancy and awesome, are we? We're like rats in a. Despite all my rage, I'm still just a rat in a cage.
True. There's a second half to the dopamine story though, and I'm pretty sure everyone is aware of this, which is that you have diminishing effects once you get that loop going. Because if you keep flooding the brain with dopamine, you're going to end up just becoming like numb to it in a way. So, Will, do you remember what the idea for fixing that problem was? How do you fix the dopamine reward?
If you're overflooded with dopamine?
Yes. How do you ensure that it remains to be effective? It's also a gambling thing, by the way.
Wean yourself off of it? I don't know. I don't remember
quite.
This part.
Will, when you spin the slot machine, do you win every time?
Oh, you have to introduce chance. You have to introduce like
there you go.
random number generated reward system.
Yep. So
Right.
it's time-based scheduling. So the idea that you're not able to guarantee it and you don't know for certain when things are coming, that is how you're able to ensure that the dopamine response still happens. Because if you play the slot machine and you put in 25 cents and you won 20 cents every time, the math on that is losing, but also at the same time you're just going to be like, what's the point? This isn't fun. Where's the thrill? Where's the excitement? The best example I have of this is actually a meme that I saw on Instagram recently. It was a lady who posted a Twitter snapshot and had a picture of a container of gum that she keeps in her car. She goes, fun fact, when people ask me how I quit smoking, I tell them that I just go buy packs of these tubs of gum, and then I also go get nicotine gum, and then I put the nicotine gum in the thing as well, and then I shake it up, and I like put tape over the top so I don't know what's coming out. So I just take a piece of gum and I eat it. And it's like, whoa. It's like, yeah, the someone retweeted and said, we solved the smoking addiction by creating a gambling addiction.
That's awesome. Oh my god. That's
There you
fucking
go.
that's hilarious.
So I know it's probably a little complicated to try to like implement some sort of chance-based time reward structure when it comes to your own dopamine stuff. I think it's possible if you get creative. But then again, at the same time, you also have the knowledge of you've seen behind the curtain because you're the one that built the program for yourself. So it's just going to be a matter of, again, I think it's understanding that, yes, you're doing what is theoretically an imperfect thing or a not cool thing, but there's a better reason for it. There's a good point. We don't want we don't care about the habit too much. We care about the result, and we understand that the habit is the way to get there.
Mm-hmm. Man,
This
that's fucking cool.
This chapter also had this part had a chapter, which was an interesting thing, which is, I think this is probably another concept that we've heard from a lot of other self-help books, which is the idea of reframing things. And specifically, he's talking about bad habits, which is that if the way that you can make bad habits unattractive or make hard things more attractive is that instead of saying, I have to do this, or I have to pay bills, I have to go to the gym, instead, it's the idea of trying to reframe it and like physically like try to hypnotize yourself and be like, no, I get to do this thing. I get to pay the bills. I get to go to the gym.
Bro,
What do you think about this one?
Fourth grade that did that. And when I read this part of the book, I was like, there's no way Mrs. Atchison knew about this Atomic Habit books. You don't have to do homework. You get to do homework. And I was like, oh my god, this is freaking ridiculous. When I was in fourth grade, there's something in my eye I just cannot get out. But when I read that, I was like, oh my god, this brings back memories. But it is important. Everything in life is framing. Everything in life is exactly like what you decide it to be inside your own head. So if you decide that you have to do it, you're a slave. And congratulations, you've made yourself a slave. And if you've decided like, oh, I get to do it, I'm a free and sovereign individual who chooses to do this thing, then hey, congratulations. Now you're a free and sovereign individual who can do the thing. So I think that's totally like legitimate and awesome.
Makes sense. Again, I think the disconnect between, or the difference between you as a willing participant trying to hypnotize yourself as opposed to the teacher in fifth grade trying to gaslight the class into being like, no, you get to do homework. The unwilling participant is not, again, thinking about the end result of, they're thinking about the actual thing that you're trying to do, which is, you just want me to do homework, which I don't like, instead of like, perhaps I can gaslight myself into enjoying homework or wanting to do the homework, not because I want to do the homework, but because I want to get good grades, don't flunk out of high school, don't end up under a bridge smoking crack, that kind of stuff.
Yep, exactly. And when you can gaslight yourself, it's actually not gaslighting. You're a sovereign individual making decisions, and you're using techniques in order to achieve those decisions. So it's like, and here I am right now gaslighting the audience, telling them that like you can believe whatever the fuck you want to believe, but I'm going to believe the thing that gives me power. If I have two options, I can choose thing that takes power away from me, or I can choose thing that gives me more power. I'm going to go with things that gives me more power every single time, whether it's bullshit or whether it's true, whether it's like good reasoning or whether it's bad reasoning. I'm going to go with the thing that empowers me every single fucking time, because I want to be an empowered individual. I want to be a sovereign individual. So there you go.
Makes sense. Tell you what, good sir, let's take a quick break here. We don't have a mid video ad roll, but instead we have mid video chat shout outs.
It's time for chat fucking shout outs, boys and girls. Look at
There
that
you go.
smiley face. Look at how happy he is for you guys to be interacting with us.
Very
We
nice,
love
very nice. You guys are killing it, by the way. We got a lot of great chats in here, and I want to get to as many as I possibly can. Funkmaster Hex coming in saying, I listened to this book a few years ago. I might have to listen again for a refresher. I gotta say, when I finished this book and I was thinking about it, I had a very similar thought. And I was like, this might actually be like an annual read. And I think it's very doable.
Yep.
Because
it's quick too. It doesn't take
it's
a long
quick.
time.
Exactly. It's quick. It's right to the sauce. It's exactly what it's boom, 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 boom. And I appreciate that a lot. Unlike Adam Smith, the man who could never get to a point. Dear God.
It was different times back then. They had time.
He had a lot of time. You know, some of his buddies that were hanging out at the pub, and they were like, hey, you want to go grab a beer? And he's like, no, I got to go write this book. And they're like, you've been writing this book for like 3 years, man. They're like, you probably are maidenless. 0 maidens. Friday cocktails, by the way.
Ooh, shout out to Funkmaster.
Dr. Alan Chen also had very similar sentiment. He says, this is an excellent book for anyone who's lost in life and does not know where to start. Signing off. Work is getting busy. Happy Friday. Dr. Alan Chen, thank you for your time, sir. Hope you might be able to catch the other half on Replay Gang. We would love to hear your thoughts on this one. And Dr. Alan Chen again. Creating obvious visual cues can direct your attention toward a desired habit. Make good habits so easy that you'll do them even when you don't feel like it. That's right. He might be jumping the gun here a little bit, but that is the next session, making it easy. But again, he's right. By the way, good buddy of ours, Mr. Moondog, coming in. He says, I'm late. Got distracted by a crypto game I play getting updated tonight. Regardless, love and light, y'all. Good to see you, brother. Glad to have you here, and all good. You can do the audiobook method and start at the beginning, go on double speed, and you can probably catch up by the end of it. Ooh, Dr. Alan Chen, another really, really good one here. Said consistently compounding 1% improvement each day is not 365%. You would be 3,800% better than you were on day one. Do the math. Hashtag Asian math. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Will. Funkmaster X coming in. Can't find time to actually read. I'm all Audible, YouTube on the go. That's what we do, man.
Same.
The monotonous, boring work. Yeah, you can just pop the audiobook in while you're working and get to it. Or if you're climbing a tower, as long as you don't get too distracted.
There you go.
True. Alrighty. Back to the book. So, third law, making habits easy. Make it easy, baby. So, Will, I think you had a really good quote here that you dropped earlier. It was the preparation one.
Oh, the preparation one. Man, I got so many good quotes. I gotta scroll to find it. Preparation. Oh, I can just Control F. Control F. Preparation. Oh, no, nothing with preparation. Oh no.
I think you said it earlier, which is that we don't. What is it? You don't rise to your abilities. You fall to the level of preparation that you had.
Yes, you don't rise to the challenge. You fall to the lowest level of preparation or training, or you fall to your lowest systems. Is what James said in the book.
There it is.
But yeah.
I believe the term that he uses in this one later on is the law of least effort. If you can reduce friction for good habits and increase it for bad ones, it will make the right behaviors easier and the wrong ones hard. And again, action beats planning. Success is about frequency, doing something consistently, even in small amounts. Preparation, baby. So you had a really good one earlier. You were saying that if you want to go to the gym, it might behoove you to live in a place that's close to the gym, and you go to a nice gym that's fun to be at, and you specifically try to go at a time where there's no traffic and that you have good energy. So that way, it is the easiest possible choice you can make, so that you're guaranteed to do it.
It's obvious, it's attractive, it's easy, and it's sustainable or satisfying. There you go.
Satisfying.
You want to solve all of the immediate problems, and you want it to solve the long-term problem.
True, that's true. What are some ways that you found to make things you want to do easier?
Oh man, I'm super lazy, so everything that I do in my life, I'm trying to maximize the easiness. And here's the thing is like, I don't mind doing hard work to front load the easiness that I know is going to be happening later. So like, I'm always packing and unpacking my truck and rejiggering it to hold all of my life and hold all of my tools and all the things that I need for anywhere that I go. So I'm constantly taking things out and putting things in and taking them out and putting them in. And so what that does is I've learned that like, oh, if I put all these similar things in this one bin, then I just pull the bin out of the truck and I put it on the ground. And I don't bring that bin with me. Like I don't bring my cold weather bin when it's summertime. You know, it's like easy peasy. That's one of the things that I do.
I think storage is a big one on this one because obviously when it comes to the habits, we're trying to do a thing. If we're trying to do a thing, it means we're either trying to interact with something, or we're trying to accomplish something. I think one of the examples he's gave was like, if you want to practice guitar every day, you should probably have the guitar in an easily accessible spot.
Yeah.
When it comes to storage of stuff in particular, obviously for pure storage, the most efficient way to store things would be cram everything as tightly as you can in a single space and shove it in a place that is tight and confined and will have good climate control. It's like, okay, cool. You've now efficiently stored.
That
Good luck
solves the
getting to
space
anything.
problem. Yeah, it doesn't
Right.
solve the ease of access. So, and this is something else that I've learned in my mobile life is like you need to solve for a couple things when you're storing. You need to solve for the attractiveness, you need to solve for the easiness, and you need to solve for the efficiency. So like what you were saying, you've solved for the efficiency when you cram it all into one place, but you don't solve for the ease of grabbing the one thing, and you don't solve for the attractiveness of it, right? So like if you look at it and every time you look at it, it's like, oh, that's fucking disgusting. I hate that. You know, every time you look at it, it's gonna take a little bit off of this, like I fucking hate this thing every single time. You're just gonna get more and more and more depressed, more and more angry every time you look at it. And then every time you go to pull your guitar out, you're just gonna get more pissed off. So the way that you would solve for that is you don't do that. You do something different and you just try different things till you find the thing that you like. I think that where most people get, and we were talking about this earlier in the Telegram call. Shout out to all of you guys who were in the Telegram for DGen Roundtable earlier today, when Agent J and Dace and myself were talking about like you just need to do things. You just need to like get some sort of momentum done. Like you're not going to get it right. Dace was talking about his business that he's been running for 10 years. Like he self-admitted he almost never does anything right. He just keeps doing it. And the more he does it, the more he figures out the problems that he's doing, and then he fixes the problems. And then the next time he does the thing, he's got it. He's got that problem has been eliminated. He's got a new set of problems now. And it's like da 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 da. And the more you persist through these things, the more you just do stuff, the more you try new things, the more you learn, the more you hone your process down, and it becomes a well better oiled machine that functions even better later on in the future. So when it comes to like the storing, you want to store the things that you're going to grab the most often to be the easiest accessible, right? You don't want to like the things that you're grabbing often to be in the very far back behind everything else where it's like, oh, I got to work for it every single time. It's like, no, that's fucking ridiculous. You take the things that you use the most often, you put them at the eye level shelves. You put them at the places it's like right near your chest where you're like, oh, I reach out and I grab it. Done. I got it. You don't put it way up high where you got to work for it. You don't put it way down low where you got to work for it. Yeah, you solve all those problems. Anyways, back to your topic.
You're
Back
good.
to your point.
When it comes to this, though, I think that it's interesting because the environment idea that he brought up earlier, it's very much woven through the entirety of the book. And this is another section where this goes, which is like the environment makes it easy. You can either make the environment hard or easy depending on what you're doing. Again, back to the fridge idea. If you want to eat the healthy stuff, put it in the front so it's easier to grab. If you want to cut out the unhealthy stuff, but you still want to have it in case you want to crack open a cold one, put the beer in the back. Done. Boom. Easy.
Yep. Bazinga.
Here's another one for easy. He comes up with this idea. He says the 2-minute rule. How to stop procrastinating. It says scale your habits down to take no more than 2 minutes. First, you have to master the act of showing up and then building from there. This is almost like him incorporating that stacking 1% idea into itself, which is like the goal is we want to increase 1% at a time. How do we increase the things that will help us increase 1% at a time? You do that 1% at a time. I think the example he gave was, again, going to the gym. He's like, look, show up at the gym 5 minutes every day. You don't even have to do anything. You just got to be at the gym. This will build the habit of going to the gym. Now that you're at the gym, increase your time slowly, start building it up from there. So that way, all right, cool. Now we're working out. Now we're doing better workouts. We're doing longer workouts. We're taking care of post-workout routines, stretching, rehydrating, getting protein shake, all that stuff. Boom. But again, when it comes back to the 2-minute idea, do you think that the 2-minute idea he introduced here is like just a starting point, or do you think it's a good thing to try to keep going all the time?
I think it's a good starting point. You could probably find a way to make it into a going well all the time if you just keep stacking things onto it. But I like the idea, I like the concept, because what it does is it gets you that instantaneous win. If you say I'm going to do this thing for an hour, and it's like, I got to chug
There's a
along
lot of time.
through for an hour. But if I just do this thing for 2 minutes, and it's like, oh yeah, no problem, no sweat, like water off a fucking duck's back. I can do this, I can get that, and then you show up and you do it because it's within the realm of possibility. Another one of the things he talks about is like you want to do things that are only like 4% more difficult than what you can already do right now. It's within the realm of possibility. You don't want to bite off more than you can chew. You don't want to get discouraged by shit that's way too hard. So when you do something that's a 2-minute win, then it's like, oh, well, I can keep doing that. Hell yeah. And the more you do that, the more you build up this internal reputation of like, I am the person that does these things, whether they're easy or not. It's like I have this stack of wins at my disposal. I have this portfolio of all of these gains that I have made to myself. You know, it's like you got to convince yourself before you convince anyone else. So if you can't convince yourself to do the simple things and stack those wins, then like you're gonna have a much more difficult time doing the bigger stuff later on. And so I absolutely agree that doing the small things consistently and just raking those wins up, I think that that's the best way to do it. And honestly, that's what our phones do when we scroll Instagram. That's what that happens when we scroll the shorts on YouTube is we get these immediate little dopamine things. Like you'll notice that reels don't last any longer than about a minute 30. The YouTube shorts, they don't last any longer than 2 minutes or something like that. It's like there's a reason that the 1 to 2 minute mark of like our attention span is like the golden zone, the golden pocket. TikTok videos never last that long. But the point is like you're getting this immediate little hit of dopamine and then on to the next thing. Immediate hit of dopamine. On to the next thing. Your brain is wired to take that stuff and to run with it. So if you can just take that advantageous wiring and you apply it to something that makes you better, makes you stronger, makes you whatever X, Y, and Z goal you want accomplished, then you're using your own chemistry to your advantage rather than someone else using it to theirs. So that's my thoughts on that. What about you? What do you think?
I think that this is probably a thought that many people have had and I have had recently, which is like, I want to do a thing. So I want to try to do it like 1 hour every night. When you start at that 1 hour mark, it's very easy to like go through your day, do everything. You're like, oh, I got to do this thing. But it's like, I don't have an hour. I don't have an hour to do this. I don't know if I can focus for an hour on this thing. So instead, I think this is where the 2-minute rule comes in, which is like, yeah, just show up, man. Just show up, do as much as you can, and then try to do more the next time. That is a lot easier of a thing to get building than just trying to sit down and be like, all right, time to study for the LSAT 1 hour at a time. And you're like, oh gosh, I haven't been in school in like 10 years. This is hard. But that's the kind of stuff that makes sense for me. And I think it makes sense for a lot of folks out there. When it comes to, I think it's definitely possible to take it too far on the short side. I like the idea of like show up at the gym, just be there for 5, 10, 15 minutes, whatever. It's like, okay, are you actually building habits or are you wasting your own time?
Odds are you're going to do something when you're there.
There you go. That's fair. That's fair.
Like all things being equal, you know, if you show up, then and you do one shitty little workout, then you could be like, you know what, at least I did a shitty workout. But like if you show up at the gym and then you walk away, then it's like, haha, I did the thing. Check in the box. Then it's like you're fooling yourself at that point. You know,
yeah.
The point of showing up is to begin the motivation, to get the snowball rolling down the hill a little bit. You can decide how far down you want it to roll.
That's true. I know that a lot of this book, we're going to keep saying it, which is like, these are like very obvious things that you can think yourself through. But at the same time, though, I think it's very easy to kind of like low IQ this one a little too much and take it literally. I'm not going to call this the most thinking man book out there, but I think that you got to think about this stuff and actually take it into consideration. Recently, I saw a short, and it was like, oh, how I motivate myself to do stuff with ADD, and it's the idea of like, if I just put away one dish, the guy was like, well, based on me, I know that if I put away one dish, it's going to bother me if the rest of the dishes aren't there. So if I just commit to just putting away one dish, then I'll put the rest away. It's like interesting thought. At the same time, though, I think this is definitely a know yourself moment, which is like, you got to understand if that kind of thing works for you, you have to be the kind of person that it's actually going to work for. Otherwise, it's going to resort back to the path of least effort, which is that, oh, cool, I just have to put away one dish. Cool, one dish up. All right, I'm done. It's like,
if it gets the sink one dish cleaner, then you're in a +1 position from where you were just at a net 0. So like, it might not be everything, but it's something. And then you stack enough somethings up and you get a result. Like,
This
what
is
was
true.
it that you were saying to me a long time ago, that the plural of anecdotes is data or something
Yeah.
like that? Right. So like, if you do a whole bunch of little tiny things, and eventually you make progress. So like, yeah, I understand your point. I'll just say that, you
Just trying to inject
you gotta
some
count those
balance here.
grains of sand. At some point it becomes a pile, right?
Yeah, the reason I want to bring this up is because, again, we're talking about the habits book here. I think everyone has seen those like reels or whatever of like some influencer who's like trying a little too hard, and they're like, my morning routine, I wake up at 4 a.m. and journal for 15 minutes and do 100 push-ups and do an ice mask for an hour, and then I start my day and I go do my real workout, and then it's like, brother, you're trying to convince me and everyone else in this world that you meticulously do 1,000 things before 9 a.m. We're just like, we just don't believe you.
Yeah,
Just
I mean,
don't believe that.
And again, guys, it's all campfire stories. Hang on, let me pull up my phone. It's been a while since I've fucking played this game with the audience. It's all, wow, I gotta like scroll to find it. Look at that. It's all motherfucking campfire stories. That's all it is. When you see the influencers doing that, you know what they're doing? They're selling you a fucking story. They're telling you things that you want to hear. And it might be true. And good job for them. You know what they're doing? They're bragging on the internet. So, congratulations. They are qualifying to your opinion because their opinion is not sufficient enough that it matters. So, like, if you see the influencers, it's like, yeah, I took 12 ice baths this morning, and I jacked off 47 bull mooses in order to catch enough to impregnate and repopulate the entirety of Canada. And not only that, but I woke up at 3 a.m. and after sleeping on a bed of tacks. It's like, dude, no one cares. Good fucking job. Give yourself a pat on the back and go on about your life. Like, you're telling a great campfire story, and I'm going to extract the golden information that I need out of this, and anything after that is just like, good work, broski. I'm so proud of you. You know what you should do actually when you see those influencers, Zenith, is you should be like, I'm so proud of you. You've finally made it, son. Like, I give you my seal of approval, and you have permission to marry the town's daughter, or whatever the hell it is. So.
I think the Michael Sartain quote on this one is that the things you see on Instagram aren't real, but the things that you can gain from social media are. So there's a balance there. I think he also did recently. He kind of took the piss out of one of these videos on his show. Is one of those guys that like wakes up stupid early. He had this like $50 bottle of water. He's like, this is very important. It's very, very crisp, very clear, very healthy. And then if he got one of those for the show, and he starts off and he's like, yes, here we go. And he's like, yes, hey Rolo, try this. And he's like, Rolo, does this taste like $50 water? And he goes, Mike, this is water. Yeah. Alrighty.
It's story. It's campfire stories, everybody.
Everything
is campfire stories. Whether it's Mein Kampf, whether it's the Declaration of Independence, whether it's this dude's freaking
$50 water.
$50 water, or tale of how he froze himself in an ice cube in order to time travel or whatever the hell. It's like, cool beans, bro. I'm glad that you told a story on the internet. It's all
exactly. The point of reading the habits book is not to be a daily routine habit influencer, because we can all look at that and say it's stupid, but we understand that building habits is important. Let's figure out how to do it. All right.
I will say one of the coolest habits I've seen recently is a dude that does 24 miles, 24 beers, 24 cheeseburgers in 24 hours. That was that one's one of my favorites.
Very
I've
nice.
seen recently.
That's pretty good, actually.
Apparently, the cheeseburgers is the hard part. Is the 24
I'd believe it.
cheeseburgers. So everything else super easy and doable.
Alrighty, final one here. Make it satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
So making it satisfying. We got a few things here. Number one is tracking the progress. Make the tracking satisfying. This is where you get the check boxes in the green book. This is where you get the nice calendar on the wall and you cross out the days where you did the thing. And it's really going to irk you if one of those days is incomplete. Do you think that this actually works? Is this that lizard brain kicking in where you're just like, oh yeah, look at those check boxes?
Bro, if it's not measured, it's not managed. That's one of the most common sayings in nutrition and in bodybuilding. So like,
yes, sir.
The people that write down the number of calories they ate every day, they lose twice as much weight as the people that don't. That like the numbers speak for themselves, and our ability to track numbers and our ability to pay attention to ourselves is exponentially affected by like when we actually do it.
That's true.
Not the ability to track numbers. The ability to generate results is exponentially increased when you track the way that you get there.
I like it. I really appreciate that in this point of the book. He has a good analogy for the tracking. He's like, look, the point is to make the tracking satisfying and useful. If you try to track too granularly, you're just going to get lost in the sauce and it's going to do nothing. In fact, it's probably going to have opposite results. If you don't track enough, again, it's useless. You're not going to remember anything and your tracking is going to be dog crap. So the analogy he gives, he's like, think of tracking like a mirror, which is that you want to use the mirror to see how you're doing. If you have it too close up, you're just going to be focused on the acne on your face and the gunk in your teeth. If it's too far away, can't see anything. If it's at the right distance, you can see the holistic picture of yourself and how it's looking. I thought that was fantastic.
That's a good, that's a good analogy.
Alrighty. Social contracts or accountability partners. It's interesting that he puts this one in the satisfying. Exactly. You put this in the satisfying category. Again, it could be environment, which is if you're around your friends are like, hey, you still doing that 100 push-ups a day thing? It's like, yeah, that can help you. The other one he said here, he's like, I think he's also going for the ego play. He's like, you can have a physical contract that you sign with someone, like your fitness coach or someone you live with. It's like, if you do not do the thing, you have to give them money. And it's like, well, Lord knows I'm not paying this guy. You're not getting anything out of me. Not today. Not never.
I've done that with Sam before, with my brother.
There you go.
Back when I was doing the mace swing thing where I was like, oh yeah, if I remember I had to do 3,000 mace swings a day, and it was such a fucking annoyance. But towards the end of it, I was like, hey Sam, if I miss a day of mace swinging and you ask me about it, then I'm going to send you $50 worth of hex in a hex stake, and it's going to be Quattro Cinco staked. But I remember that was a deal that I had, and I was like, well, by God, I'm not going to miss any of these fucking days of swinging a mace, and that was a good time. And there was a couple times where he could have got me if he'd have reached out and asked. And I'm like, oh shit, I better catch up, and I did before he called me and called me out on it. But like, yeah, man, that introduces some very real risk and some very real like serious treatment of the things that we say. And also, like, when you tell someone else that you're going to do something, that now your word, your reputation is on the line. And that's very important, especially as men. Your word and your reputation is like all that you're worth. And so if you say something and you don't do it, congratulations, you're a bitch and no one takes you seriously. If you say you're going to do things and you do them, then now you're a powerful person and people want to do business with you. People want to be your friends. People want to hang out with you, et cetera, et cetera. So like involving other people in this process, what it really is doing is it's putting your reputation on the line. And so if you value your reputation, then you'll do the things necessary to follow through with it and to make the stuff happen. So it's gambling. It's gambling. To put it right back to the
all comes back to gambling.
It all comes back to gambling, bro. And it's all about gambling. So let's fucking go. Let's throw those dice and play those craps.
Here you go. Alrighty, final point for the satisfying chapter. You mentioned this earlier. The point of doing the habits is we want delayed gratification. The way that you solidify the habits is instantaneous gratification. You got to find the way to have instantaneous gratification about whatever it is you're doing. It doesn't have doesn't have to be crazy, but you just got to make sure that whenever you're doing something, there is a reward attached to it. So if you're going to the gym, you got to make sure that when you're done with the gym, you feel good. The feeling good is the reward. That is the instantaneous gratification. Long-term gratification, we're getting shredded.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty, on to what is actually my favorite part of the book. This is the final 4 chapters. So, first one, the truth about talent. He says, focus on habits that align with your natural strengths and preferences. Competition is easier and more rewarding when based on what comes naturally. I think this is kind of like the grain of salt at the end of everything here, which is like, can you build habits to get good at stuff? Yes. Should you build habits to get good at anything in particular? Maybe. I think one of the quotes he has is that odds are anybody out there, if you actually understand what your natural talents are and you start working towards it, odds are you're going to be in the top 25% of that field by the end of your work there. So what do you think about this one? It's the idea that like you got to know yourself, like know what you're getting at and know what you're getting into and understand if it's worth your time.
Yeah. If you're born without legs, your time spent learning figure skating is not as high leverage as your time is spent learning handwriting or learning cursive or something else that's physically possible. And so the point of this thing isn't to necessarily say that like talent is valueless or whatever, but it's like if you focus on your strengths, you'll get better results than if you focus on your weaknesses. So from that position, it's like, hey, just understand like who you are and what your position is in the world, and then from that point, find out the stuff that you like and the stuff that you're able to do, and you'll be able to maximize the effect that you have and therefore the satisfaction that you get. If you spend all your time doing shit that you suck at, that's not going to make a lick of difference, then it's like you kind of like pissing your value down the drain. So that's what I took out of this section of the book. And um he used the comparison of Michael Phelps and also some runner gentleman that was from like Nairobi or Kenya or something like that. And he said that like, look, Michael Phelps has a very very wide torso and very long arms, which is great for creating powerful like pulling movements with his arms, which makes him a great swimmer, not a great runner. This other dude, super small and slender, makes him a great runner, but does not make him a good swimmer. So like playing to each of these gentlemen both played to their powers, and they both worked on the thing that they were very good at, and as a result they were both Olympic medalists. And so like focusing on the things that you have talent for and focusing on the things that are within your realm of possibility will lead you down the path of getting better habits, getting better results, and things like that. So just I suppose that the moral of this little section is like to know thyself, know thy strengths, know thy weaknesses, same as Sun Tzu's Art of War, and move with it from there. So that's what I got out of this particular section. What about you?
Yeah, I think this is an important one, but it's a potentially frustrating idea, which is that because the guy's just straight up saying like, look, you're not going to be good at everything. You got to accept that. Unfortunately, it's not a perfect Venn diagram, because there's going to be some stuff that you actually care about and that you think you need to get good at, but you're just not built for it. So like whether it's trying to like do finance or work or something, you're like, unfortunately, my skill set is not the one that's going to make me the most amount of money in like, I don't know, being a day trader or something. But it's like, I want, it's understanding that you might have these desires. They might be very good and necessary desires too, which is like you want to make money so you can survive and thrive and not just be stuck behind the grindstone working yourself to death. But at the same time, though, understand like, look, you just might not be that guy. You just might not be that guy. There are things you can do to try to be better.
And that's okay.
Exactly. It's you got to be okay with it, but then at the same time, it's coming back to the idea, which is like, yes, we can build systems. We can spend a lot of time doing stuff. Make sure your systems actually matter, and it makes sense to do this kind of stuff. Because like, look, you can like your brain is your brain. You can biohack your brain to build the habits, but just because you're doing that doesn't mean that you're going to get the exact results you want. You're building habits. You're not building results.
It's better to focus on the habits than the results. That was one of the things he said earlier on in the book. Because if you focus on the results, then congratulations, you get the result one day. And now what? If you focus on building the habit, then you continue to play the game. It's like if you
Very
focus on the
true.
score, then you get the score. Now what? Whereas like people playing basketball, they're not focused on the score, they're focused on playing the game. And they continue to play the game once they get past the score. And so it's good to that's just quick little offset comment I wanted to make there.
Good stuff. I think it leads nicely into another one of his points on this one, where he says there is a potential downside to creating good habits. He says habits bring efficiency, but they risk complacency. You got to pair habits with deliberate practice, regular reflection, and adaptability to continue progressing. Again, he's trying to remind people like, look, the habits are not the end all be all. In fact, there's probably going to be a time where if you've built up good habits, you've achieved the desired result that you want now. But that desired result is probably one step towards a larger goal, meaning you're going to have to adjust. You have to have different habits. You have to progress the habits. You have to make sure they're actually lining up with the final goal you will not want, instead of just getting really good at step one. Again, I think the quote from the sports ball people here is that it's not practice makes perfect, but it's practice makes permanent. Perfect practice makes perfect. If you want to do if you practice, you're going to get the thing that you're doing. So A, make it good practice, and B, understand that what you do is what you're going to get in more permanent, because that's what habits are. Habits are, it is becoming your true self, your real self, so the girls will like you. If you just get really good at just sending opening one-liner texts, you're never going to get a relationship. You're just going to get some chuckles. Where do you see, like, what do you think are maybe some like common places where people kind of get stuck on habits and never progress in the next one?
I think people overbite and underchew. I think that they get too ambitious in their desires and they get stuck on like I'm going to do this thing for 1 hour as opposed to the 2 minutes. And they don't get enough wins. They don't get the dopamine. They don't get the easy, or they don't get the obvious, easy, attractive, and sustainable or satisfying things solved. And so like people try and they fail and then they revert back to old self. They inefficiently cast the line, don't realize what they're doing wrong, try and catch a fish, reel it back in. It's like, fuck, I failed. And it's like, most people just don't know. And so they do the thing ineffectively and then they don't get a result and they get bummed out and they're like, well, that was a fucking bullshit, whatever the hell. So that's where I think people go wrong the most is they don't get a win. They try something too big, too fast, too hot, or they get burned out or something along those lines. It's like, nah, slow but steady wins the race. And just kind of like apply your efforts better. Read this book to understand how to best shift your life into a good direction. That's what I think. That's where I think people
makes
go wrong
sense.
most often.
I think that one of the areas I see this is it's sometimes hobbies. It's like hobby versus profession. And in particular, the one that comes to my mind is golf, which is like you can have a terrible golf swing, but if you get really consistent at it, you're going to be able to hit a consistent shot. It doesn't mean you're going to hit the best shot you possibly can. It means you're going to get very consistent at hitting that shot. And I think it's the difference between people that want to go more of that like professional mindset. I'm not saying you have to play on the PGA Tour. I'm just saying, like, if you are someone who wants to like progressively keep getting better at golf, you got to understand which kind of route you're going down, which is that, are you constantly trying to improve? Granted, you also, some days you got to show up with the girl you brought to the dance. You got to dance with your date that you brought. And when you go on the course, you're like, this is my swing right now. I want to play well today. I got to play the best I can with the tools that I have. After that, you got to go back to the practice field. You got to break out the camera and you got to be like, okay, what am I actually doing? How do I constantly improve? It's the idea where it's like, if you're okay and you're just doing this for fun, you don't care about being pro, then maybe the imperfect swing that you can do consistently makes sense. But if you want to get better, at some point, you got to understand that old habit is holding you back. Sure, you might have gotten really good at it, but that is the thing that is the limitation. And I think that's where we're getting with this point in the book, which is the downside of creating habits. It's like, yeah, you can do good habits. Like you can get that pre-shot routine down. You can get your swing down, But at the same time, understand the ultimate result here. And for this one, it comes back to the idea, which is like, if you actually want, the whole point we're trying to build good habits is because we obviously want to get better at stuff. Understand that the habit you're building is going to get you to exactly where you want to be. And exactly where you want to be is what the habit was built for. It's not what you wish it would be or what you want to be someday. It's where it was. And I think we might have missed this point earlier, but one of the things that he talks about when it comes to building habits is, and especially the motivation for building habits, is really think about the person that you want to be and kind of work backwards from there, which is think about the things that you want to have attributes about yourself and what you want to be and what that looks like. And it's like, okay, how do I emulate this vision that I see in my head? And you got to break it down one step at a time and understand that there's going to be those intermediate steps as well, because you can't just go 0 to hero, just 0 to hero run in 60 seconds. It's going to take time, but at the same time, the habits can ultimately trip you up if you let them, or if you just stick with them forever and never change. Do you think that's a common problem, or is this just like something that's for future people? Like this is 5 steps down the road, and this guy's really focused on getting people going in step 1.
I think it's 5 steps down the road. This book solves people number 1 thing, but it's just good to think about. It's not a bad war game thing. You should think about everything, if for no other reason than to just run through the process. So like, it's not the end of the world. I think that it would behoove people to take a thought process towards it. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that it's too far down the rabbit hole, perhaps?
Yeah, I think it's too far down the rabbit hole. That's just me going too far instead of just trying to break it down. I know that I do that, so I'm like, yeah, that sounds like what I'm doing. So it makes sense.
Yeah, it don't hurt. Doesn't hurt, man. Doesn't hurt. Think about the problems that you might save one day by doing that.
Exactly. And by the way, sir, you already hit our final point in the book. It was the Goldilocks rule. You mind explaining that one again?
The Goldilocks rule of 4%, right?
Sir, 4%.
So there's a Goldilocks zone for any sort of challenge that you're doing. If you are trying to tackle a problem that is 100% higher than the stuff that you're used to solving, or 2x would be a better way to describe it. 2x more difficult than what you're used to solving, and odds are you're going to fail a lot before you magically get lucky and make it happen. You're gonna have to reload or revert back to your last save point, your last checkpoint, a whole bunch of times before you finally get that lucky roll. The Goldilocks zone is 4%. So like, in the idea is like just above the cusp of what you're already exactly capable of doing, but still challenging enough that you're not bored of it, and you're not just like going through the motions or whatever. It's like, ooh, this is a little bit more tough than what I normally do, right? If you just hit that 4% Goldilocks zone every single fucking day, every single time, then like you have put it in the pocket to where you now have enough challenge to keep you interested, and you're getting so many wins that you're making tangible progress at all times, that you're going to find yourself growing faster than anyone else that's trying something 2 times more difficult than what they're used to, or like that someone who's trying something that's 90% of what they normally do, and it's like, oh, this is 10% easier than what I do all the time. Like, those guys don't challenge themselves. So if you're playing, an easy example is if you're playing chess. You want to play chess against somebody who's 4% more smart than you, because you could probably beat them if you really apply yourself and you learn from it. And then
I'm trying to look back in our book log here. Did we cover a book that was talking about the flow state? That was like
the flow state, maybe.
Yeah, the flow state. It might have been that one. The flow state is exactly what he's talking about here, which is like, there is the way to get the most engagement out of your brain, and it's that perfect balance between boredom and difficulty. Yeah. If you can 100% complete anything without challenge, you're going to get bored. If you can't ever complete anything, if you can't ever complete anything, it's going to be too difficult. I think the other ratio that he gave for this one, he's like, theoretically, the optimal outcome for whatever you're doing would be a perfect 50-50, which is half the time you get it right, half the time you fail. That is like that perfect balance of how you find what is that 4% harder. If it's 4% harder, it is going to be challenging. There's the possibility of failure that will give you thrill and excitement for when the times that actually happen, when you do succeed, you're like, cool, this mattered. This was not a guaranteed outcome. I got it. This feels good. That kind of stuff.
Yeah. It does feel good. Like a cat periscope.
Yeah, just like a cat periscope.
Hello, kidders.
Come here, be a prop for Uncle Z.
Yep. It always makes me happy to see the cat tail go by on screen.
Yeah, she's getting ready to yell at me for food again soon. Right now, she
a
just
good
wants some
laugh.
lap time, but later it'll be food.
A good laptop.
True. Alrighty.
But yeah. So, any other thoughts on the golden zone, Mr. Z?
Nope, that's about it for me. I do have a final question here for you, though. So we just covered a whole book about self-improvement and about building habits. Again, I think we've covered it many times during the discussion, which is like the point of building habits is not to do the habits, it's to get the result. I think that this, again, falls in line with a lot of the self-improvement books that we talked about here. But one of the things that's not in the book, because obviously this book is very focused, which I think is good and I appreciate. But one of the things that's not in the book is kind of like larger life incorporation, or like trying to understand what you're trying to get out of life. Again, I mentioned it earlier, which is like we see those like weirdos on Instagram who make it look like their entire life is built around this one habit or this one like schedule that they try to do every day because for some reason. And it's like, okay, cool. You can spend your entire life trying to build habits and perform perfectly and always be self-improving. But like, what's the end goal here? Like, where's the satisfaction in life? Where is any of the stuff that makes kind of like life worth living? Do you think that it's easy to get down this rabbit hole and kind of just like lose focus on like enjoyment and other things that matter?
Yeah, it could be for like I suppose it entirely depends on the person's level of focus, but yeah, people could definitely turn this into a fucking rabbit hole, man. People could. What do you think?
I think so for sure. And I think in particular in like the self-improvement space, the more we read these books, like there's good stuff in these books for sure. But I think it's very easy to kind of get lost in the sauce, which is if you focus so much on the self-improvement, I think there's been a tendency for people to kind of become cynical or almost depressed about it, which is like, I am so focused on building me to be the perfect me that I want to be that I'm not actually doing anything with it, and you're not actually reaping the benefits. I think fortunately when it comes to crypto and stuff, it's very easy to reap the benefits because you get literal money if you do it well, and you lose money if you don't do it well. So we try to avoid that. But I think it's like there's a certain point when it comes to the self-improvement sphere, which is understanding that it's not the whole picture. And I think a lot of times, and a lot of people's frustrations with it is that it seems like it gets pitched as the only picture. And anytime you deviate from that and enjoy yourself, that you are bad and you suck and you're going to die a pleb in the shed without any riches or women or whatever. It's like, okay, cool. Well,
I've got a question for you then. So with all this talk, what role do the different communities in your life play in shaping the habits that you form, Mr. Zenith? Because you've got multiple communities that you interact with. You have a work community, you have a friends community, you have this cryptocurrency community, you have your veteran community. Like, what role do they play in helping you shape or unshape the habits in your life? Because it sounds like there's definitely external motivations in my life. So I presume there's some in your life as well, right?
yeah, I think you've, at least in the green room for sure, you've told me that, like, man, you're doing a lot. How do you have time for all that? I'm like, well, to be honest with you, the answer is I don't have a whole lot of time for a lot of other stuff, but there's a degree of contentment that I get out of it, which is that I feel productive. And I think that this is probably just like my headspace, which is that that'd be personal therapy. Like, I feel a lot of pressure because I do believe that I stand on the shoulders of giants. My parents have done incredible things and they put me in incredible places. And I'm very fortunate to be an American with a mostly healthy body, excluding a few metal parts that are still stuck in there. But it's that that's also my fault. But that's the kind of the stuff that keeps me going on this. So that's like where I get motivation to continue to keep trying to do better. Cause I don't know, might be that imposter syndrome of feeling like I'm never good enough. But the reason that I asked the question in the first place, which is that I also have been really I have a lot of fun when I do stuff. Like I go play golf like once a week. I understand that like this is like peak white person activities, but I really get a lot of enjoyment out of it. And I understand that I have the personality where the thing that I like and enjoy doing is getting good at different things. So jokingly call myself an 80th percentile man, which is I'm usually 80th percentile with anything that I've done, which is I kind of went down that TISM hole and really just like hyper fixated on stuff to the point where I got good at it. It's like, cool, now I have a closet of hobbies that I'm like pretty good at, but like there's no one defining thing. When it comes to the self-improvement stuff, it's again, which is like, this is kind of a thing that I think about whenever I like hear financial advice for retirement accounts and like building wealth. It's like, yes, it's very cool. And I understand the math behind compounding interest and like saving your 401k versus Roth IRA and the tax incentives and getting the max amount of like numbers in the bank account. But at the same time, I kind of imagine myself at 65 and I'm like, I'm halfway there. There are some days that I don't feel good. That ankle ain't working the way it used to. My back doesn't feel the way it used to. I can only imagine what I'm going to feel at 65. So it's like, is the whole point just to not worry about dying on the street? Or is it, and instead dying in a hospital, or is there something else along the way that we're not focusing on here? This is why I try to get some of the other books in here, whether it's like the political philosophy stuff or even some of the social stuff. I know we try to keep this mostly like finance and self-improvement focused, but when we do have some of those other stuff, I think we've covered like some dating books and stuff. And those are the ones that get me thinking about the other sphere. So to finally answer your question, like what are the other spheres in my life? I think that work, I probably very much have a primary work focused one. There are a few of my coworkers that I think are cool people and I like talking to. There are many people that I don't interact with a whole lot unless I need to, because I'm just like, I'm here to work, man. Like just going to do my thing, that kind of stuff. My family, love my family. It's very important. My friends, very important as well. I've gotten to I tried making conscious efforts. I think it was Simon Sinek was the guy who had a clip talking about like having guys actually like say I love you to each other to deepen connections in a world where it feels like we have very cheap and shallow connections. So I've been trying to do that more as well because I love my friends. And those are the guys that I want to be fucking around with in the retirement home when we're 65 and in wheelchairs having races down the ramp. That's the kind of stuff I'm looking for. So, I mean, to get full circle on this, it's like, I like the self-improvement space a lot. I think it's incredibly valuable. I think we may have gotten a little too far on the wrong end of the pendulum, where it's like people are more focused on the image of self-improvement and having that as an identity. And instead, I think that there's more stuff to focus on besides that. So all in all, fantastic book. I plan on getting a tracker going and actually doing better trackers for my work stuff. But at the same time, though, I guess is the Uncle Z's personal growth thing here is like, I like spending time with the people that I like spending time with. And I've been told that one of my flaws is that if I don't like you and I don't want to spend time with you, it becomes blatantly obvious in my attitudes and my actions. So I'm going to try to work on that one. I don't know.
That's not terrible. That's not terrible. It's good for people to have feedback. Sometimes it's better for them to have feedback that they're interested in hearing, but I think that's all right.
I guess the whole reason behind the rant is I very much want to see a great future for not just myself, but for my friends and family, and then also community and country. And the direction that I see things going right now is I think that the correction from the old boomer blue pill era of like, we're at the end of history, nothing's ever going to change, is that we're now in the correction of like, things are going to shit. You have to be the top notch 1% of the 1% operators. Otherwise you're going to get smoked in the apocalypse, or you're going to be poor and some guy's going to come steal your girlfriend off your arm because he's got the Bugatti or whatever. And I'm like, all right, I get it. But I think we may be focusing on slightly the wrong things, which I think the book is also echoing, which is like, these are good things. Good things taken too far become bad things from just like self-improvement. I don't know. Think I'm crazy here?
Nah, I think that's pretty good. Good things taken too far do become bad things. So I like your perspective, Dobrowski. That was a good answer.
Hey, much
Very
appreciated. Nice. I know I'm a guy that kind of, I'm an engineer by trade, and I do enjoy taking the piss out of the liberal arts majors. But remember, at the end of the day, the liberal arts majors do allegedly help construct society to be always achieving for higher and finer things so that you can enjoy the classy things. You like, believe me, I love frog gigging. I love shooting guns with the boys, but at the same time, like having a nice whiskey and a cool speakeasy. That's nice. I need the liberal arts majors to do that. And then also make good coffee. I think there was a study. Yeah. I think there have been multiple studies now that show that the feminism studies people, they make better coffee than the engineers. And like, I'll accept it. I get a little focused on trying to get the water temperature perfect and the correct ground size for the coffee beans so that we get actual proper throughput and we end up with exactly 20% particulates in the coffee to get that excellent balance. But just let the artsy person do it. They got the touch. They got the touch.
Too. Yeah. The zazz. Very good.
That was a rabbit hole I went down when I was on the ship, and we only had like very, very crap internet. So it was limited to mostly text-based things. I found a subreddit of people that just go like way too deep on coffee making. And like there are people in there who probably have written like PhD theses on how to, on like the fluid dynamics of water going through coffee beans and absorption rates and how much particulates you get in and stuff like that. But that's neither here nor there.
It's good that somebody did it.
It's true. It's true. I like the math. It's cool. All right, to get back on here and end Uncle Z's ranting or ravings, whatever it is. Overall for the book, how do you think to best apply this to your life?
How do I think to best apply it to my life? 2 minutes at a time.
Answer, sir.
There we go. Get that 4%, 2 minutes. Make it easy, make it obvious, make it attractive, and make it sustainable or make it satisfying. Like if you guys can do those things, then you'll win. Plain and simple.
I agree.
Read the book. Go do it. I would put this book like at hour 10 on the journey from 0 to 10,000 hours. Yeah, easy. Right in the beginning. Fucking start off with Atomic Habits, because this will teach you how to get the rest of your fucking life sorted out. Master these things, and then you can do better on everything else.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty confident saying this might be one of the top 5 books that we've read all year.
Yeah,
this is fantastic, and I'm very happy throwing this in like the first 5 books I'd give to anybody for a lot of different topics. Just again, it's like obvious stuff. You can get to the 80 percentile on your own. I think this guy really does a great job of filling in that last 20% to get you the rest of the way to getting those good habits. As far as how I would implement it in my life, I think I'm pretty good with the obvious. I'm pretty good with environment. I think trying to make things satisfying is probably the one that I'm going to work on the most, trying to figure out how to like really do that. I know this is a personal qualm for me. I've been an athlete for the majority of my life. I think I've kind of gotten into the headspace where I just like don't enjoy working out. So I got to figure out how to make it enjoyable again. One of the ways that I've kind of gotten there is, I'll be honest, I'm just straight up ego lifting at this point. Like, all I care about is getting those bench press numbers up because I never was super good at it. And I'm like, time to be a big boy. Time to get that big chest. Get it up there. But yeah, as far as the book goes, I'm very happy saying this is a sub 10-hour book. This is fantastic. And it's not just the material. The way it's written is really good. I like that it's concise and it's quick. 5-hour audiobook, perfect. I think I actually paid cash for this one on Audible. Very happy with that purchase. I will be revisiting this. So very happy to recommend it to anybody else.
I totally agree. 100%.
Excellent. Alrighty, sir. That brings us to maybe some closing stuff here. Where can the people find you? What do you got going on, big guy?
As far as where can the people find me, they can find all of my socials based off of the Pulse domain link tree will.pls.fyi. If y'all want to check out any of my socials, you can find everything there. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube will take you here. Telegram will take you to my Telegram. Those are the best ways to contact me. I'm going to be going to Las Vegas. I'll be going to Albuquerque, Santa Fe. I can't remember. I'll be going somewhere. Los Alamos. I'll be going to Los Alamos. I'll be going to Las Vegas. I will be going to Portland, Oregon. I will be going to Nebraska. I will be going to Detroit. I don't know what order I will be going to those places, but you know, it's the fucking way she goes. I'm on the road. I would love to see you guys. If you would love to see me, then hit me up and let me know. And I can deviate from my set plan and I could come say hi. That is what I've got going in the near future. We have book club next week where we're going to be covering the book Alpha God by some dude who wrote that book. I don't know what his name is. I don't remember anything about it, other than the fact that Sami was talking about how Richard Hart is very similar to Old Testament God versus New Testament God. And he described a lot of the principles of evolutionary psychology in his YouTube rant. And it was so fucking good that I was like, holy shit, I got all excited. And I like wrote up this Twitter post. I'm like, oh my God, Sami, you're a fucking genius, bro. And then I decided right then and there that we're going to be doing this next book club on the book called Alpha God, which is about the psychology of. Let me read the actual
Alpha God, the
thing here with you
psychology
guys.
of religious violence and oppression.
Yes.
By
So
Hector Garcia.
Hector Garcia, that's right. So this dude is an atheist. So take this book with a grain of salt. The reason that we're reading this book is to learn about how human beings perceive people that are in godlike status, right? This isn't about like historical accuracy. This isn't about religious accuracy. We're looking at the base principles of it. We're taking a look at this book with a 30,000-foot view, right? So um if
So
you're a religious
we're
person,
not going for religion, we're going for psychology.
the religion is kind of important because it describes the psychology.
Fair
Now,
enough.
like I grew up religious, and so I understand a lot of the Catholic principles and all that stuff. And I'm not to say that I am religious or that I'm not religious, but like this book has some very real information on how imperfect human beings look at what they consider to be godlike characters. And there's a lot of parallels that we can draw in how Republicans look at Trump, in how Democrats look at Biden, in how 1930s Germans look at Hitler, at how blah de da da that North Koreans look at Kim Jong Il, um, at how people look at Mahatma Gandhi. So the point is this book has a lot of psychology stuff in it, and it's very good and very awesome. And that's what we're going to be covering on next week's book club. Other than that, uh, I think I'm going to be on for Sunday. Pretty sure I'm going to be traveling, so we'll see how she goes, boys. I'll be on the road. Zenith, will you be able to host that show? Can you do the clickings and
Yes,
the things? Because
sir.
I'm going to be driving. Okay, sweet, 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 sweet. I appreciate that. Um, that's all I got. What about you, broski? Where can the folks find you, and what have you got going on in the near future?
Folks, you can find me on X and Instagram at ZenithDI. Go ahead and send me all your good memes, book recommendations, funny videos, whatever you got. Love seeing all of them. Outside of that, yes, we are going to be back on Sunday for our flagship news show. Some of the stuff I have prepared here is I found a particularly interesting article saying that some analysts are saying that the effect of traditional finance and ETFs are not actually factored into the market price yet. So could be more to the upside. We're going to be covering all that more, taking a look at the markets again, trying to make sure that we're getting our 60-day cycle counts correct, looking at what's going up, what's going down, and what we can expect in the near future. Outside of that, though, also going to be on the Monday show over at Walk the Block, Navigating Digital Finance. We talk about all that good stuff and more. We got Whiskey Wednesday coming up, as always, this Wednesday as well. And then, again, we got Book Club. We're covering Alpha God next Friday. All the shows are 8 p.m. Eastern Time here on DGen Roundtable. You can find the links on YouTube, or if you scan this QR code right here, it'll take you over to our Telegram where you can get into the community, post some great messages, do some research, swap ideas, and bounce ideas off of each other. You can hear Jay and I go back and forth arguing over our 60-day cycle counts and where we see Fibonacci levels, because they're a little hard to figure out. But that is where you can find us, what we got going on, and the best way to access all of the stuff that the DGen Roundtable here is putting out, and probably where you're going to get the first access to it as well. There are live streams in there periodically as well, so catch those with people like Jay, Dace, Will, myself, all the other various members of our team and community. You guys are the best. We have a fantastic community. The chat is absolutely blowing up tonight. We got plenty of people, Moondog, Hexagon Lost in Asia, Dr. Alan Chen. Really want to get him back on for another book club. Love hanging out with that guy. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is about all that we have here tonight. So I want to thank you for spending all your valuable time here with us tonight at the DGen Roundtable. As Agent J often says, we know that time is your most valuable asset, and we appreciate you investing it right here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Zenith, but more importantly, you have been watching the DGen Roundtable. Mr. Producer, that's me. Go ahead and get that trigger finger ready, because it's time to remind the folks at home to remember to DGen responsibly.